the hell are we doing again? Wayne Gravatt with Fish Head Videos. We're back in the basement tying flies again. The fly we're going to do today, the name of it is Glen Crayfish. Little story about this. I met a guy probably 6 years ago. He's a good friend of mine. Really nice guy, and I tied these crayfish and didn't really have a name. And his name is Glen Crayfish. So I thought, well, hell, I'll just pay honor to him and we'll just call it Glen Crayfish. So simple name, kind of a unique name. Like the name. Just a little bit about this, about crayfish. They're super abundant in a lot of rivers in Montana and in many, many states, actually. Just to mention a few: Clark Fork, Bitterroot, Blackfoot, Big Hole, Jefferson, Madison, Missouri. They're in a lot of lakes. It's a very underfished, very effective fly, and we're going to learn how to tie it today. Hey, one other thing before we get started on this. We're getting a lot of likes on these videos, but we're just not getting a lot of subscribes. So please hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free. Doesn't cost you a dime. No credit card, nothing. It's free, so let's do it. So with that said, let's get started. For our materials today, we're tying this on a 2X long nymph hook. I also tie this on 8s. You can also tie it on that terrestrial hook, gives it a nice profile. This is just a standard yarn, and I'm just using this as filler. You could use almost anything. If you want to build a thread base, it's just so that materials don't slide. This is craft fur. This is going to be the antenna. The case over the back of the crayfish is going to be pheasant tail. The body is going to be a cream colored dubbing. The pinchers or claws are going to be pheasant rump. And the rest of the body, I guess you could call them legs per se, is going to be cream hackle. You could use a white hackle there, whatever. And the thread we're using today is a 6/0 pink wax thread. I also use cream. I use various different colors depending on the crayfish color that I'm trying to represent. So that said, let's get started. Put my glasses on. Get a little light going here so we can see what we're doing. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to make a fairly light thread base. Because keep in mind we talked about this yarn, and I want to show you what I'm going to do with this yarn. So we're going to get rid of that little tag. Okay, this is 3-stranded or 4-stranded, I can't remember. Looks like it's 3-stranded yarn. So I'm just going to put this on there. Basically, this is just going to be called filler. I'm going to start that right up around the eye of the hook. I'm going to keep that right up on top, real tight. I want that tight. Just like that. I'm going to wrap that forward. So it's just a pitch and catch motion. Over with the top with your right hand. Just catch it underneath with your left. Bring it up there just like that. Good. Okay. Clip off that little tag. And at any time, if you have any comments, we would also like those. If you see things that you would like, you want to comment on, we'd love to have those. Okay, now we're going to tie in that antenna. So we're just going to take a little pinch of this craft fur. You can buy this stuff at hobby shops. Anywhere has it. Fly shops have it. But, you know, whatever. And pull out a few of those little ends. Okay. We're just going to get rid of that little section right there. Okay, right in the bend of the hook, right where we started that yarn, this is going to be the antenna. So I'm going to tie that in there pretty tight, just like that. Nice. Okay. Next, we're going to build, because this case has to go over all the way over the top of it. We're going to take some pheasant tail. I'd say, I don't know, there's probably a dozen in there. Something that's wide enough that it's going to have a little bit of an impact. Don't worry about trimming it or anything. Just tie that in right up on top of the hook. Just like that. Okay. Just let that go. Now we're going to go with some dubbing. And again, this is good practice on dubbing. Okay. I like to use a little saliva when I'm dubbing it. It makes it easier to control the dub and the amount you get on it. So you're just going to set it on the hook and you're going to spin it slowly, just like that. So kind of the opposite of this, the head of this fly is actually going to be at the bend of the hook. So we want to build up the head. So this is going to be the head right here. Okay. That's it, just a little more. And these are fun to fish. You basically fish this usually as your top bug and drop something off. A jumping jack flash is a really good thing to drop off. We use sandworm worms. We drop worms a lot. We fish these a lot in the Madison. They're really effective, really a good fly. Okay, we're going to put that right there. Okay, now we're going to get the pinchers. So these are kind of nicely marked. You can see that it's got really nice modeling on it. So we're going to pull all that down off there, just like that. Then we're going to take the scissors and we're going to basically make a cut right at the vein. So we're going to cut that vein away from that fly. Just like that. So you can always see what we got going on there. We're going to take a little bit off the back. So that's about what we want, something about just like that. Okay, now we're going to set that right where the V of the feather is, right butted up against the head. Now I'm just going to grab the top of it, just like that. Make a few wraps back, get it secured. And we can adjust that. We can move that wherever we want it. Not a big deal there. Okay, just like that. You can already see that starting to make a transformation. Okay, now we're going to tie in a hackle. And we're going to tie this in wet style. So that means with the shiny side up. There's the dull side, there's the shiny side. So we're just going to set that in there just like that. Nice. Now we're going to take some more dubbing and we're just going to continue building a fairly thin body, not a bulky body. And keep in mind that fish, you know, there's big crayfish. I mean, we've seen some that would scare you, that you wouldn't want to pick up. Those are the kind of things that fish do not eat. They eat the small one that have softer shells and they're not colorful like the adults. They don't want any part of that adult, just like you don't either. Okay, so we're going to wrap that up just like that. Tiny bit more. But notice how I'm not bulking that up really heavy on the thread. Because if you put it too heavy, it makes it extremely difficult to wrap. It'll keep coming off the thread. Just like that. Okay. And I'm winding that fairly tight. I want that on there pretty good. Okay. Now, you could use hackle pliers here, but it's just as easy with this size of a feather. Just to use your fingers is better. You actually have better control. Okay, so you're just going to, probably 4 wraps there is going to do it. Notice how the wraps are parallel. Tie that off. Put that little tag off. Now, we're just going to simply bring that pheasant tail right up over the top. Just like that. With your left hand, or your right hand if you're left-handed. Bring that around there where the head is a few times just to secure it. And we're going to go in there with some nice tight wraps, just like that. Now, this is the back part or the tail section of the crayfish. So we want it an 1/8 inch to 3/16 of an inch long, just like that. Beautiful. Put a whip finish on it. Get rid of that little tag. Little head cement. That's a pretty easy fly to tie. There's a couple other variations I want to show you here. These are some other ones. This is the one on the terrestrial hook that I showed you before. You notice that's got a little bit different colored claws or pinchers. That's also pheasant though, and pheasant is abundantly easy to find. Whether you shoot them or you can find them, but that's a good looking bug. That's a nice fly. I don't know if I'd call it a bug, but you can see those pinchers. That's just got a great profile in the water. Use that when you're going to like it. All right. Give them hell. Thanks for viewing.